Happy Monday. Good to see everybody. We're back. We took last Monday off. It was a holiday. So even though we didn't take the day off of work, we actually took the day off of Metal Monday. So we're back in full effect and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back. I enjoy doing these Metal Mondays to give everyone, including myself, some insight on what's going on. So today we look at some of the non-ferrous. Copper seems to be off a little bit. After last week, we really had a pretty good week on it until Friday, and today it's trending downward again.
Yeah, we'll see kind of how this week shakes down. Last week we got into the 260s and the low 260s, and looks like this morning we're down in the high 250s again. So as far as copper goes, not a lot has changed. Once it took the big initial dive off from the 280s, we're kind of hanging around.
And nickel as well. I mean, it's off a little, but not any significant change. Are you seeing anything besides what's on here, Brett, that's really changing in the market? Anything different for you?
The only thing I've kind of noticed as of late is it feels like that there is a little bit more demand for aluminum. The pricing isn't necessarily great, but it does feel to me like there is becoming a little bit more demand in the aluminum market, particularly like your secondary items. I'm starting to see some movement on those. I think the export market at least is kind of pushing that. Some of the domestic guys, maybe there's not as much aluminum, and maybe it's starting to flush itself through the system, but that's kind of the way the feel for me. I could be 100% wrong, but I'm starting to feel like there's a lot more interest in some aluminum items.
What are the secondary markets, so everybody can kind of get some insight on that?
Secondary is anybody, for the most part, making like a 380 alloy. So you're seeing like your old sheet, for example, it's an export item, but you have like your MLC clips. You've got 61 wheels can go as a secondary item. Say your puck, say a high grade 6061 puck, clean cast aluminum.
Okay.
Is a secondary item. It's items like that aren't like primary extrusion mills where they would take like a 61 extrusion or a 63 extrusion or a 5052. Those are primaries. Secondary items are stuff like that that's not necessarily an export or could go export as well.
Because I take a lot of phone calls where people are asking, can I get a price on aluminum? And it's people that aren't in the industry don't really quite understand, like, well, aluminum's aluminum.
Yeah.
And this is kind of good to show everyone, like, there's a reason why, there could be a 10-cent swing on what the public would probably just see as, like, it's all aluminum.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of like telling people, like, hey, whatever grade it is, like, we'll grade it appropriately and then put it in that category. And that's why you'll see, 5 to 10 cent swings on some clean aluminums.
Correct.
Well, everything else, I mean, we touched base on mostly sideways on the non-ferrous, and we're almost into March. Have you heard anything about our ferrous March pricing, where that's heading?
I don't feel like the ferrous prices are going to go down in March. I mean, that being said, unless there's something that happens in the the world market that affects, whether it's a coronavirus type event or something like that. But it feels like the ferrous market should be up, at least a strong sideways in March. I'm anticipating it going sideways to up for our sales. So time will tell. But I think the ferrous market, it has a similar feel to the aluminum market as me, in the fact that we had a pretty mild winter, at least over here, and the flow hasn't really just turned on because the pricing is still at a low enough level that we haven't seen a tremendous amount of flow from auto salvages,
Yep.
landfills. Traditionally, those things pick up for us in the spring, but definitely feels like it's at least potentially trending in the right direction.
Yeah, and if with all the people I've talked to out there, there are a lot of piles waiting to get cleaned up. If you get some decent pricing into spring, things could definitely pick up in our valley.
Yeah.
Which we're hoping for.
Yeah, and the weather's starting to warm up over here, believe it or not, in Idaho. I mean, it's supposed to be 60 degrees towards the end of this week, so we'll take it. You know, that usually is good for business, generally speaking, coming out of spring. So on the ferrous side, fairly positive.
Well, good. I'm in a week when we do this again next Monday. Hopefully, we have a little more insight on that, where March is going to be, and we'll keep everybody updated.
All right, happy Monday. Go get them, guys.
Thanks, guys.